we decided to head to the beach this weekend. And on the way there, we kind of got lured into the local Walmart. The plan was to get snacks, get water, get back in the car, and get going. But my sweetie gravitated to the electronics section. I wound up, well, here, and much dawdling ensued. Eventually, we got on our way, and I was expecting this. But instead, I got this. So we changed our plans and went exploring. Pretty soon, we came across a road we'd never been down before, so we took it. And we found this. And this. And this.
Hi everybody! We went for a drive today and we meant to go one way and we kind of got lost. And this is where we wound up. Don't you love it when that happens?
All of this wandering around gave me a great idea for a tutorial. The utility strap. This thing has so many uses, I probably couldn't even list them all. But it's a great thing to have on you when you're out exploring.
So all you really need to make a utility strap is some crochet cotton, a crochet hook. I'm using a 4.25, but you can use a 4.5 or a 5, whatever's comfortable for you, and your yarn. You need a pair of scissors, a crochet, or I should say a yarn needle. Any size will do as long as it fits through your work, and a button.
You want to start with a slip knot. You can make a slip knot any way you're comfortable. Just make sure that it moves back and forth comfortably on your hook. Then you're going to start chaining. You can make this as long, as medium, or as short as you want. I'm going to start with a fairly decent sized one. I'm going to chain 35 to start. 34, 35. All right. Once you've chained your length of 35, you're going to add one more. This is your turning chain. Then you're going to single crochet all the way back across your chained length. So skip that first chain, the first one from the hook, because that's your turning chain, and work into the second chain from the hook. And remember, single crochet is just identify your stitch, put your hook through your stitch, grab your yarn, and pull up a loop. You have 2 loops on your hook. Wrap your yarn and pull back through both. Work 1 single crochet into each chain all the way back until you get to the beginning. Once you've single crocheted all the way back across your foundation row, you should have 35 stitches. Remember, you chained 35 to begin with, plus an extra one to be your turning chain, and then you single crocheted all the way back. So take a moment, count your stitches, make sure you've got 35. Once you're all counted up, chain 1. Remember, you need a turning chain. Turn your work. And now we're going to work some buttonholes. So we're going to single crochet into that first real stitch. Remember to skip that turning chain, don't use it. Use the first real stitch. And you're going to work the first 2. So single crochet into the first 2 stitches. Chain 2. Skip 2 stitches. Single crochet into the next one. Chain 2, skip 2 stitches, single crochet into the next one, chain 2, skip 2 stitches, and single crochet into the next one. So that is what this looks like. You single crocheted into the first 2 stitches, chain 2, skip the 2 down here, single crocheted, chained 2, skipped these 2 stitches, single crocheted, and then chain 2, skip those 2 stitches, and single crocheted. And those become your buttonholes. Now, you just have to continue single crocheting all the way back to the end, and that'll be row 2. So once you've single crocheted all the way back to the beginning to finish off row 2, you should still have 35 stitches. So those chain 2s that work out to become your buttonholes still count as stitches. So make sure you count. You should have 35. Chain 1, and now we're on our last row. Flip your work and start single crocheting. You're going to single crochet into every stitch and every chain. So when you get to your buttonholes, you're going to work those 2 stitches. And if that's too complicated, just work 2 single crochets into each hole, single crochet into each single crochet spacer, and single crochet 2 times into each space. So you will still have 35 stitches. And just to elaborate a little more, once I get back to my buttonholes, I'll show you what I mean. Alright, I have single crocheted all the way back, and now I've come up across my first buttonhole. So I'm going to single crochet into that stitch just before it. Then I'm going to single crochet into each of these 2 chains. So you might have to flip your work over a little bit so that you're looking at the top of your chains. And you just want to stick your hook in, get the first one, and stick your hook in and get the second one. And then the single crochet spacer, you can single crochet into that. So you've got, it kind of keeps your space, at least it keeps it open, but it has sort of this nice little bit of sort of chain running across the top of it still. I like the way that looks. So I always try to flip my work so that I can see the tops of my chains. Stick my hook into the first one. Work a single crochet. Find the next one. Stick my hook in there and work a single crochet. It's a little awkward, but I think the payoff is nice. You can sort of see the bottom of the chain sort of remains, and I like the way that looks. Work that last single crochet spacer and then the next 2 chains. There's the first one and the second one, and then I have 2 stitches left. I'll single crochet into both of those. And there we go. That is my utility band. Now I'm going to snip my yarn. Fasten off. So grab the yarn, pull it back through the loop on your hook. Give it a nice tight tug. Grab your yarn needle and sort of work in your tails. And I know I hear some grumbling out there. Not everybody likes to work in their tails, but it's a necessary evil, I'm afraid. I like to put my needle into my work first, then thread up my yarn and pull it through. And since this is a utility strap, I'm not going to fuss about it being really pretty. So I'm just going to work in the tails as best I think. There we go. And trim off any excess. There we go. Now that all that remains is to just attach my button. And I guess I'm going to need a little needle and thread for that. Alright, I've got my needle and thread. I don't have very much, but that's okay. I'm not putting in too many stitches. And I've doubled it up. So one thread sort of laying against each other, and I double knot at the end. And I'm just going to grab my button, place it on the end, and I'm just going to establish my thread and then sew my button on just a couple of times. Doesn't need to be, I don't want it to be too tight. And that's that. Now I'm just going to knot off. And there you go. One utility strap. You can make them this long, or perhaps even this long. You can also make them wider if you want, or double rows of buttons, depending on what it is you're wrapping up. It could be a tent. How often do we lose the little wrappings and things for stuff like our tents? But because you put 3 buttonholes in, that means you can button it in the first position. That gives you so much slack. Or second, all the way up to third position. That gives you that much slack. So as things change, or maybe you've lost a pull, or you've got a fewer t-shirts than when you started out with, when you wrap everything up, you can make it as tight or as loose as you need. And there's lots of different applications for one of these things. In fact, I'm going to show you some right now. Wrap up those camping supplies. Hang something off your belt loop. You got some extra clothes? Keep them tidy when you pack them. Definitely not going to lose my keys now. Garbage bag in the car. Presto, cleano. Hang up my shoes? They could kind of use a drying. And you know what? I'm going to decorate the car. And there you go. These things are super useful. Make sure you have one in your glove compartment, a few in the house, like the junk drawer. You might want to put one on each of the kids' backpacks. I definitely am going to have a couple in the office, and I'm certainly going to have some in the craft room. These are utility straps. Who doesn't need one of those? And at the end of the day, it even makes kind of a cool bracelet. So there you go. Thanks so much for tuning in, everybody. Hopefully we'll find our way home tonight, too. And if we don't, well then, who knows where we might find you next week. Tune in to find out. We'll see you again soon. Bye!